In a word, I feel like we can all agree that the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC is disappointing. There's a lot of stuff that this update did do really good, but there is such an overwhelming amount of stuff that it is just fumbled. Today I'm just going to basically air out all my grievances, and before I do that, I'm gonna try to talk about some pros and cons. But basically, I just want to just kind of give my first impressions, so to speak. And I'm gonna try not to be too harsh, simply because it's obvious that Rockstar is working on GTA 6. That's probably why this game is being so neglected right now, and I don't understand why. I mean, Rockstar is a billion-dollar company after all. They can definitely afford to get more developers in on GTA 5 to make sure this game gets plenty of stuff, while at the same time GTA 6, but that's neither here nor there. So the first thing I want to talk about is all of the good things. I want to praise the update for a bunch of things it did well. So let's start with the main attraction, the Raiju Jet. This was sort of the how you say, the main attraction of the update. And honestly, I'm not disappointed. It's fun to fly, has tons of features, it's incredibly useful, and it's not overpowered. Congratulations, Rockstar. You've actually made a jet that's good without being OP. I'm impressed. And it basically is just, the agility of the laser with VTOL like a Hydra, but with a cannon like the B-11s. That's essentially what this is. And on that note of the jets, next thing I want to talk about is a praise. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to flame me in the comments, but this has to be said. The jet nerf, the explosive cannon nerf, was much needed. I've been to a few public lobbies after this update, and let me tell you something. Oh my god. It is so good not getting spawn trapped by these turds. It's so fucking nice seeing a jet and knowing I can actually get the hell away from it. Jesus Christ, man. And it's funny because a lot of people will say, the laser wasn't overpowered though. It didn't need to be nerfed. Well, it was overpowered. It needed to be nerfed, and it was nerfed. And I'm going to be honest, I've been using the Hydra a little bit more. I actually think getting a kill with the Hydra is a bit more satisfying now. It's a big reason I like the Raiju, because it now shares the same explosive cannons, and it's actually pretty decently balanced. Are people going to abuse it? Oh yeah. People can abuse anything in this game, honestly. I've seen griefers abuse stuff like Starling. It's rare, but people can do it. But there was always a reason people abused the laser and the Hydra. They were overpowered, factually speaking. They had so many strengths with so few weaknesses. They were overpowered. That's not even a debate. That's just fact. So to see them get a nerf in a way that lets them still keep their core feature, which was the fact their guns were explosive, and it still manages to make it a bit more fair to whoever's fighting it, I think this was a pretty good change. The jets aren't OP anymore, but they're still fun to use, and I feel like that was the best outcome. We also did get a new plane, the Streamer 2-1 something, was it? And it's okay. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's basically just a slightly better version of the Cuban. And to be honest, I'm not opposed to that. I think it's nice getting, random vehicles like that just for the hell of it. I mean, remember, this is a sandbox game at the end of the day, so it's nice to just have things for the hell of it, right? More features isn't a bad thing as long as they're fun and they're not OP. So, I also think it's funny that we all were like, oh my god, the Beagle from San Andreas! And I guess that's essentially what it is. I wouldn't know since I never got the chance to play San Andreas. Looks like I may never get to unless it's the stupid defective edition or the definitive edition, quote unquote. But I just think it's funny. People were like, oh my god, the Beagle! And it just gets this weird ass name that probably feels like a joke aimed towards like Twitch streamers or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reaching, but I do think that's kind of funny. But regardless, it's a cool little addition that's just, again, fun. I doubt I'll ever be able to use it since it's such a weak plane. But hey, nice to have, right? Good to see them add stuff that's, fun and interesting. And the liveries on it are pretty cool. I remember seeing professionals review that plane, and I thought it was funny that he picked to play the Fly US ad over it. I thought that was kind of funny. And speaking of new vehicles, let's talk about some of the new cars they added that I really like. So first of all, the Monstrosity. Again, a nice little tie-in to older GTA games. Now, again, I didn't really get the chance to play games like San Andreas. I played a bit of GTA 4 back on the PS3, but, didn't really get much in-depth into it until GTA 5 on the PS3, but I do think it's cool they added a car that was teased for basically a decade or so that's fun. And the car itself isn't too bad either. It's buggy as hell, but I mean, when has anything not ever been buggy? I mean, we're talking about GTA 5 after all. This game has more bugs in it than a Cuban cigar box, let's be honest. But anyway, I digress. It's a cool little car, it's nice, it's fun to drive, and it's also good to see it's somewhat competitive. I remember watching Bruffy's video breaking down some of these vehicles. So it's good to see the Monstrosity is somewhat competitive. It's nice to know it's not just going to be a useless little garage ornament. There were a few other cars in there that I guess most of them I didn't really particularly care about. But there are two that immediately come to mind other than the Monstrosity. First of all, the new Buffalo, that actually is a surprisingly fun car. I was a bit skeptical at first because of the fact that it was electric and it was somehow in the muscles class, but then I did a bit of light research on it, found out it's a new model for the Charger, and I find that kind of funny because for the longest time now Dodge has made Charger like a four-door car, which I always thought was kind of weird. So it's interesting to see they went back to a two-door. Personally, I think the new Charger looks a bit more like the old ones. The body being a lot more like squared off. But again, I'm digressing. The car itself in GTA is pretty fun. It handles pretty decently. Nothing to write home about, but it's also not really going to lose you any race anytime soon, not unless you're just really bad at driving. The point I'm trying to make is it's good. It's well made, it's fun to drive, but that's enough, right? And I do like it. I'm probably going to main it as my Amani Tech car for the next few months. Now, the other car that caught my attention, and I know I'm not the only one, everyone has pointed this out, is the Ghostbusters car. I forgot what the hell it's called. The Brigham, I think it is. I find that one absolutely fucking hilarious because it's like we've been improvising the Ghostbusters car with stuff like the hearse for years now, but we've never been able to like actually make the Ghostbusters car. Well, here we are. Come this Halloween, whenever they release it for the event, we'll have ourselves the Ghostbusters car. The Cadillac from the original show is a beautiful car. Like, old Cadillacs were just gorgeous cars. So it's fun to, it's cool to see that they've actually like basically remade it and put it in the game. And it's also funny because looking at the model, I find it to be very aesthetically similar to what was it? The one they released with Drug Wars. The I forgot what it was. It was a four-door muscle car. Whatever. I'll put the name of it on the screen, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean. It looks very similar to the Brigham, and I'm wondering if that's what they were going for. Which makes sense. They look very similar in game. I'm sure the fictional companies would have made like a wagon model. So overall, the cars this update are pretty few, but from the looks of it, they went for more like a quality over quantity thing with the modeling, because I have noticed the cars of this update are more consistent versus like back in the day when we get like a crap ton of cars. Some of them would have like tons of customizations, others would just be like flat, like they just wouldn't have much. And I like that. I like that. Now, like I said, some of them are really buggy. Like for instance, the what was it? The monstrosity, right? It has several bugs with its customizations, but hey, it is what it is. It's disappointing, but like the car itself looks and drives nice. So like whatever bugs it has, whatever. They're not game breaking, so it doesn't really worry me that much. And we'll get more about game breaking bugs soon, because ooh, that's a whole can of worms to open. But overall, this update did have a ton of positives, and I will give it that. And there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, which was, the main attraction was the updates to the Avenger and the Hangar. So I'm not going to talk much about quality of life updates in this video, because I'm sure we've all read the patch notes, we've all seen Tez's posts, we've seen what the quality of life changes are. I'm not going to go over them, but I will say they are nice changes. It's good to see. But I do want to talk about the main attraction of this, which was the Los Santos Angels edition with Charlie Reed. And that's awesome. I'm glad they expanded his character a bit more, and like they just gave us a new activity. They gave us 6 main story missions, like they've been doing. They gave us 3 new free mode missions, and let me just say real quick, some of those story missions and all 3 of the free mode missions are hella unique. Like, Jesus Christ, some of those missions went hard. Personally, I really liked the one where you steal a van from a warehouse, and then on the way out, the Avenger gets blown up, and it sends in Rooster with his stealth helicopter. I thought being able to like stay under the helicopter and like sort of be protected from lock-on was a really interesting mechanic. And granted, we've seen those mechanics like throughout the game in one way or another, but I thought the way Rockstar combined them was really interesting, and it made for a very fun mission. Plus, combined with the atmosphere the mission had, with like the storm going on and things just getting really chaotic, it was fun. And it definitely gives me some hope for GTA 6, because if Rockstar went that hard for GTA Online, I'm just imagining the devs sitting in their offices just sweating their asses off, because that means they've got to be working really hard on GTA 6, and I'm all for that. Like I said, I think we can all agree that it seems the main reason they're not putting forth the most effort here is because they're probably working on GTA 6. And seeing how hard they went with that one mission kind of restores my faith a little bit. So, who knows? Hopefully I'll get a PS5 before then. Like, hopefully I'll get a PS5 before everyone moves on to PlayStation 6. But we'll have to wait and see. But it is good to see that Rockstar flexing their creative muscles a little bit. That's something we hadn't seen in a long time. On top of that, I like that the Avenger has some new features. It's always nice to see. The fact that the pilot now has access to basic missiles and machine guns is nice. It's not much. I know a lot of people were worried about the Avenger becoming overpowered, but it's good to see that those fears kind of just came and went. So, hip hip hooray, the Avenger now has more features. The control terminal missions, like I said, are really nice. And the thruster jetpack that's in the back of it is cool to see. I wish we could put missiles on the thruster, but oh well. It's not a deal breaker because the thruster is really good for getting around the map. So that's cool. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth about the quality of life changes. We've all read the patch notes. We know what's in there. We know that they added some features like the sprint mechanic. They gave us labels for our garages and all that. So, yeah, tons of quality of life stuff. Just makes the game a little bit easier to play. Doesn't hurt. But now we have to go into the negatives. And oh boy, there's just too much here to ignore. There's just so much negative about this that I can't ignore. And I feel like if I don't address this, it will haunt me for the next few months. So let's just rip the band-aid off and talk about the things that this update just really, really screwed us all over with. Because, oh boy, there is just a lot of negatives with this update. And like I said, there's positives, which is why I wanted to try to stay positive, but there is just things in this update that are too bad to ignore. Now, if you'll remember when Drug Wars came out, I was, positive about that because for all the negatives in the update, the game itself was still, relatively fun to play. And for what it was worth, it did add new stuff. But with this update, there are just things that are so bad, I cannot ignore it. And I tried, leaning towards the positive side, but let's just rip the band-aid off here, and let's talk about the thing that's on all of our minds. The 188 cars that were removed from the in-game websites. I can only describe this in 3 crass words. What the fuck? When I first heard about that, I lost my mind. I'm just gonna be honest. I just lost it. So I first heard that they were going to remove a few cars, quote unquote, or they said they were going to remove, and this is their actual words, lesser used vehicles. They said they were going to remove lesser used vehicles. I heard this and I thought, oh, well, they'll probably remove stuff that's just been in the game since day one. And that could be acquired from stealing it anyway. Stuff like maybe a Sentinel, or different SUVs like the Rakota or the Baller. I thought they were just going to remove stuff like that. Or I thought perhaps they would remove stuff like the, the Nightshade. That's one I own, but I know a lot of people don't own it anyway, and that's fair because it's nothing really special. They ended up removing some cars that actually were commonly used. Stuff like the RE7B, which for a long time was top of its class. They removed stuff like the Sterling GT, which on Next Gen is an HSW vehicle. They removed stuff like just random things that a lot of people who are new buy all the time. A friend of mine had the injection And when he found out that it was removed, he was pissed. He was like, why? And he's right. It's such a pointless thing to remove. And the more I think about it, the more I can't help but think that they definitely just did this because they wanted to sell GTA Plus. Because of the fact that this comes around at the same time that they added a GTA Plus exclusive dealership to the map. And now, let me just say this. I fucking hate GTA Plus, but I also get it. They're trying to make more money so that they can fund GTA 6. And I guess some suit at Rockstar thought this was the best way to do it. Even though they're a billion-dollar company and they can afford to take some losses, but that's neither here nor there. I just find it really tone-deaf, the fact that they're trying to get more people interested in the game, even though this game is already best-selling for like years. Like, no other game makes the amount of money this one does. But I just find it tone deaf that they're trying to get more people interested by making some of the worst changes imaginable. In this, the removal of nearly 200 cars, it's just such an anti-consumer move, and I cannot ignore it. I tried staying positive about this update. I thought, at the very least, it would just add new content, even if it didn't do anything special. And the irony is, some parts of this update really stood out. Like, the new missions were a hell of a lot of fun. The hangar got some new utility, so did the Avenger. And the cars that were added are just good cars, honestly. They added some pretty cool cars. But then you have stuff like this. I just cannot ignore negatives like this. It's not, it's nice to see the hangar has some new missions and all, and it's nice to see it's more solo friendly, which, by the way, if you didn't know, this mission you're seeing in this specific clip is a very solo friendly cell mission. Now, this is just my experience so far, but I have yet to get more than one vehicle in the land cell mission, so hey, if you're a solo player, give that a try. This is just my experience so far, but I have literally done full hangar sales with just one vehicle just by selling them by land. So, yeah. I mean, you still have to source them one at a time because Rockstar won't let you source multiple. But it's good to see you can at least do cell missions on your own. So it's good to see Rockstar making stuff more solo friendly. But again, not the point. I am so pissed that they just removed cars like that. They basically just Thanos'd them. I mean, they're still in the game. Like, they're still in the files, and they're still there. Like, people who already own those cars will still have them in their garage, but, like, for the new player who wants to buy it, it just got a hell of a lot harder. So, I guess, if you're a veteran player and you happen to have some vehicles that are removed, all I can say is head up to the LS car meet every now and then, and if you're on next gen, try to sell it. Try to get people to buy that car, because that will probably be the only way to get it now. I just hate the fact that Rockstar did this at a time like this. Like, fucking Payday. Fucking Payday has had a worse situation recently with their matchmaking on Steam, and they have handled this with absolute grace. Like, the devs at Overkill have handled the matchmaking situation incredibly. And they've got, like me, for example, hyped for Payday 3. And we even have a confirmed date for Payday 3. In case you guys didn't know, when I'm not playing GTA, I'm often playing Payday on my shitty-ass gaming PC. But, yeah. It's such a stark comparison, and it really shows when other devs are just so much better able to handle when stuff breaks, and they're able to fix it and get people hyped again and just, I don't know, be better to their fans. It sucks, because GTA is a fun game, and when they make changes like this, it's just like, why? This did not need to be a thing. again, sorry for rambling. It's just, it was too bad to ignore. And speaking of vehicles being lost, let's talk about the Morse Mutual insurance bug. Something I never thought would ever happen. But in case you guys have been living under a rock or haven't been playing GTA, which I can't blame you, GTA is just in such a broken state right now. And one thing I thought I could always depend on was Morse Mutual Insurance. But nope. Okay, so you're probably wondering what the hell is going on if you haven't been in the loop. So basically, with the release of this update, there was a bug with the MOC where the customization on the MOC cab would reset, and when a player would go to customize it in the bunker, then they walk outside, whatever car or whatever vehicle, should I say, they have active, could be anything, could be like a personal aircraft, and it's just like, oh, well, shit, my MOC is different. Let me just go back to the bunker. I'll leave my personal vehicle outside, just, fix my MOC customization, walk outside, and it's gone. Like, I made a whole video ranting about this recently. It's like, how? How did this happen? Like, I seriously want to know what in the code triggered this bug, because it is such a marvel of fuck-ups. Like, I cannot express how much had to go specifically wrong for a bug like this to happen. That's something I don't get, but what fucking ever, right? And it's also funny that this happened right as Rockstar removed all those vehicles. So it's just like, wow. Well, say goodbye to that rare car that you just got worried about because Rockstar removed it from the in-game website. It's gone. Can't buy it now. I have to wonder who at Rockstar thought all of this with the GTA Plus and like the Vinewood car clothing thing was a good idea. And then what they must have been thinking when they found out that the insurance was now not working for some people. I wish I could be a fly on the wall and hear the executives fucking panicking while the developers are screaming at them like, I told you so. Like, just what a mess, But it just, again, what fucking ever, right? Like, oh my god. It's again, stuff that is just too bad to ignore. Like, as bad as God mode glitches are and all that shit, it's game breaking, but at least when that happens, we can play in a solo session, or we can go invite only with our buddies. There's ways around it. What there's not ways around is accidentally losing a personal vehicle because of something that is beyond our fucking control. Like, that's just wow. I hate God mode glitches and all that shit as much as the next person, but like, come on, dude. Anyway, enough rambling about the cars. Like, that shit is just so bad, but again, there's other things to talk about. This video is supposed to just be a general, like, overview of everything so far. But, whatever. I'm not going to talk about everything in the drip feed because, as I'm calming down, I'm realizing this is just supposed to be, a basic overview of all the stuff we have so far. And like I said, there are tons of good things. We have some new quality of life changes to just make the game better, like the new sprint option. I'm not using it personally, I'm just so used to tapping, but it's good to see Rockstar adding a new control scheme that is going to help a bunch of players, so that's nice to see. There's some new utilities with the hangar, like I talked about. It's a bit more solo friendly, which is nice to see. The cell missions are now a bit more solo friendly, like I said. The land missions seem to just give you one vehicle. Although that could not be intended, which if that's the case, I'll let you guys know. But, you know, good changes all around with the quality of life stuff, except the 200 cars, but we'll get to that again. But good changes. It's also nice to see new missions that clearly Rockstar put a lot of work in. And we'll see how long they last with the game's spaghetti code, right? We'll see how long it takes for an update to completely fuck up those missions. But we did see some good additions. But the negatives from this update are just simply too bad to ignore. I cannot express how deeply stupid removing all of those vehicles is. And I sincerely hope Rockstar reconsiders and puts those cars back on the website. Like, when Simeon's dealership first came to the game, I thought it was just going to be a place where you could get, you know, rare or, like, sought-after vehicles. Like, stuff like, say, the Dubsta 2 that was in the dealership on the first day. If you guys remember correctly, the Dubsta 2 is a rare version of the Dubster that you find on the streets. And it's a sought-after car because of how rare it is. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought maybe that would be what the dealership was for. It turns out that wasn't the case. Then later they started putting cars in there that had rare liveries. Like, you know, in the LS car meet, they put the Speed Demon livery on a Cypher, and they put it in there. I thought that was really cool. That was a cool car to go after. Because, you know, it has a rare customization on it, and people like that kind of stuff. There was a rare livery on a Banshee that was put in Simeon's fairly recently. I ended up buying it because I liked it. And I feel like that's what the dealership should be. You know, cars that are obviously buyable, but with stuff on them that people might like. For example, a lot of cars in the dealerships have stock rims that are painted, which is really fucking cool. Because it's something you've never been able to do normally. I mean, you're able to glitch it, but it was something cool that people could do. But if they wanted to just buy the car in its default state, they could always just go to the website. That's honestly how I think the dealerships should have been from the beginning, and for a while they were like that. But with the removal of like nearly 200 cars, I can't help but be furious, right? It is such a senseless change that did not have to happen. And I really hope Rockstar reconsiders this before the next update, because this is just ridiculous. You know, the FOMO'd cars from Drug Wars was bad enough. Like, the fact that they were putting in cars, you know, that were brand new, then removing them after like a week or so. Like, it's just like, fucking, really? Like, really? But whatever. Like, that was bad enough. But the fact that they are actually taking content out of the game just to be released later exclusively through like GTA Plus, it is so scummy. And I really hope and pray that they just either revert this change, or, you know, it'd be even better, just forget the fucking Violent Car Club. It's stupid. I think a better idea would be to make the car club like vehicles purchasable for everyone, but then allow like GTA Plus members to rent out the cars that are there. That would have been a much better change in my opinion. But, you know, there's tons of ways Rockstar could have done this a lot better. And it just so happens that they chose one of the worst possible ways. I want to be more positive about this update, but there's just so much in it that was fumbled so hard, and I cannot ignore it. But I'm going to go ahead and close this video out soon because I've rambled for basically half an hour now. Let me know your thoughts down below, and whatever you do, please be civil. This update did have some good stuff in it. It's just so overshadowed by some bad stuff. And like I said, the laser cannons, the explosive cannons, or like the Hydra and the laser, needed to be nerfed. Like, that was going to happen, and I'm glad it did. But, you know, griefers, they do not fucking care. They want their overpowered little jet so they can spawn trap a bunch of kids. So, whatever. I'm glad they got nerfed, because now it's going to be a lot harder for griefers to, like, blow up people's cargo. The orbital cannon change was good to see. It's good to see they finally nerfed the orbital cannon. They made it harder to get griefed by the orb. So, you know, good changes. Quality of life changes. I'm sure I don't have to go over all of them. But it's good to see the game's a little bit more friendly to newer players and a little bit easier on our controllers. But overall, all of that good stuff just gets so overshadowed by the fact that we lost nearly 200 cars from the websites. Plus the insurance bug, which I hope gets fixed very soon. That's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope my opinion means at least something. Like, I'm not a veteran in this game by most people's standards. I've only been playing since like 2017 on the PS3 and 2019 on the PS4. But I have played this game for a long time, and I've seen just about all there is to see, and it just sucks to see so much good in the game get overshadowed by something that is so bad. But that's it for now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. I'm out.